Ida Winch heard the wagon come up the drive at 11 in the morning of a Tuesday in late October, and she looked out the parlor window and saw an old man on the driver's board that she was going to know before she knew. She set her knitting down. She was 55. She had been widowed of Ephraim Winch, dry goods merchant of Cedar Bend, for 11 years. Her 2 grown children were both married and living east. Her house was hers, and paid for, and quiet. She had, in 11 years alone, developed the habit of hearing every wagon that came up her drive, because there were not many. She walked out onto the porch. The wagon stopped. The driver, young Toby Weller, a boy of 17 who ran errands for the boarding hotel, set the brake. He came around to the tailboard. "Mrs. Winch," Toby said, "this gentleman came in on the morning stage from Denver. He asked for your address. Mr. Merkel at the hotel sent me to bring him. He is not well, ma'am. He does not have money for the room. Mr. Merkel said if you would take him in, he would send his medicine and his laundry over at no charge. If you say no, we will bring him back to town and put him in the almshouse." Ida Winch walked down the porch step. She looked at the man in the wagon bed. He was 70-something in the way of a 57-year-old who has spent 30 years in California mining camps. His hair was white. His beard was white. His clothes were plain wool, worn through at both elbows. His hands were mottled with the small brown spots of a man who had lived hard weather. His eyes were closed. His breathing was thin. She said, softly, "Bram Mead." The man in the wagon opened his eyes. He said, in a voice like a piece of paper, "Ida, Toby was told not to say my name. He was told to bring me to your porch and let you decide before you knew." Ida Winch said, "Toby, help me get him inside, now." She put him in her son's old back bedroom. She stripped his sweat-soaked coat off. She wrapped him in a wool blanket. She sent Toby back to town for Doc Farrow, and for a note to be sent to Mr. Merkel at the hotel, saying she would keep him. She brought Bram Mead a bowl of warm broth and got a spoon of it into him. He swallowed. He said, "Ida." She said, "Do not speak. There will be plenty of time to speak. Sleep." He slept. Doc Farrow rode out at 3. He examined Bram. He said, at the plank table with Ida after, "Mrs. Winch, it is a bad lung sickness of a kind that has been going through Denver. He has been on the trail from San Francisco 3 weeks. He should have been in a boarding hotel bed a fortnight ago. He should be dead. He is not dead. He will not die tomorrow. I do not know if he will die in a month. He is worn to the bone, and he needs feeding and warming and rest, and then we will see. Do you know him?" Ida said, "Yes." Doc Farrow said, "Do you want him?" Ida said, "Yes." Doc Farrow said, "Then keep him." She kept him. He recovered slowly. He recovered because Ida Winch made him 3 meals a day of the sort of food a Cedar Bend farm widow makes when she is quietly saving a life. Thick beef broth, real butter, poached eggs, cornbread, a slice of cured ham once a day, a cup of milk with honey. He recovered because she got him up out of his son's bed on the 3rd week to sit in the parlor for 1 hour a day, and on the 5th week to sit 2, and on the 7th week to walk a slow, careful circle of the yard on her arm. He recovered because she read the newspaper aloud to him in the evenings, and did not once ask him about the 30 years that had gone between the fence in 1849 and the wagon at 11 in the morning in 1879. He waited 8 weeks to explain the letters. He said, at her plank table in December, "Ida." She said, "Bram." He said, "The letters." She said, "Yes." He said, "I wrote you every month for 6 years. 42 letters. The mail from San Francisco to Cedar Bend in 1850 went through a warehouse on the Embarcadero that burned in the spring of 1851. 11 of my letters were in that warehouse. I did not learn that until 1856, when I made a specific trip to San Francisco to inquire, because you had never written back. Between 1851 and 1856, I wrote you 31 more letters. All of them appear to have gotten through. You did not write back. I thought you had married. I did not know if you had married. I was afraid to write to your father and ask, because your father had not approved of me even when I had lived down the road. In 1856, I wrote your mother. She answered kindly. She said you had married Ephraim Winch in '52, and were happy, and had a small girl. She did not tell me why my letters had gone unanswered from your side. I understood then, or I thought I did. I did not write again. Ida Winch said, Bram. He said, yes. She said, I received no letter from you between 1850 and 1879. Not one. Not from the burned warehouse period, and not from after. My father received them all and burned them all until 1852, when I married Ephraim. He told me on his own deathbed in 1861 that he had done it. He said he was ashamed. He said it was one of two things he had done in his life he could not put right. He did not write to you. He did not tell me until 1861, and by then I did not know where you were. Ephraim and I were happy. I did not go looking. I have thought about you a great deal. For 18 years anyway. That is the plain shape of it. Bram Mead closed his eyes. He said, Ida. 29 years. She said, 29 years. He said, that was a very long time to be angry with your father for something he did in a season. She said, it was. He said, please tell me you are not angry now. She said, I am not angry now. I stopped being angry at his grave in 1861, when he told me, I have been sad about the letters ever since. I have not been angry. Bram Mead opened his eyes. He said, Ida. She said, yes. What? He said, I did not come home to press you. I came home because I had run out of anywhere else to go, and I remembered the fence at Cedar Bend. I am 57 years old, and I have very little to my name, and I have been ill 3 months. I am not asking you for anything. I want you to know I did not come to ask. Ida Winch said, Bram Mead. He said, yes. She said, you are asking me anyway, by being at my plank table in December, telling me you did not come to ask. I know when a man is asking. Please stop pretending you are not, and let me answer the question I know you are asking, and let us both stop wasting time. I am 55 years old and I have raised my children, and my house is paid for, and I have thought about you every winter for 18 years since my father told me. I would like you to stay. I would like to be the one at your side while you finish getting well. I would like, when you are well, to marry you. I would ask you not to pretend to be too proud or too worn to accept. That would be a poor use of the 29 years. Bram Mead said, Ida. He was crying quietly. She reached across the plank table and took his hand. She said, yes, Bram. He said, yes, Ida. He recovered fully by March. The circuit preacher married Bram Mead and Ida Winch in the front room of Ida's Cedar Bend house on the second Sunday of April. Ida's son came out from Ohio for the wedding and stood witness. Doc Farrow gave Ida away because she asked him to. Bram wore his one good coat. Ida wore a plain green dress she had sewn herself. They were 57 and 55, and the preacher, who had known Ida since she was 13, said, for as long as ye both shall live, in a voice that went a little rough, because he had also known Bram at 13. 5 years on a warm September evening at the Cedar Bend house, Ida Mead sat on the porch step with Bram Mead beside her. They were 62 and 60. Bram had, in the 4 years since their wedding, taken over the small orchard at the back of the property, and had made a small business of grafting new apple varieties for the county extension. Ida had, in the same 4 years, put on 8 pounds she had not been able to put on in 11 years of widowhood, and was very pleased with all 8 of them. Bram said, Ida. Ida said, Bram. He said, the last of the letters your father burned. She said, yes. He said, do you know what was in it? She said, no. He said, I wrote in it that I had bought a small plot of land on the Sacramento River at a place called Rio Vista and would like to send for you in the spring. I wrote in it that I was tired of the gold and that I would take the small plot and marry you and build a house and never look at a stamp mill again. Your father burned that letter in September of 1851. I bought the plot anyway. I sold it in 1852 when your mother wrote me about Ephraim. I used the money to buy a small stake in a mine that ended up worthless. That is the plain shape of what your father burned. He did not know it. I did not know it. You did not know it. Nobody knew it until this evening. Ida Winch-Mead said, "Bram," he said, "I have thought about telling you this since 1852. I did not know I would ever have a chance to. I have wanted you to know, plain, that we would have had a small, honest house on the Sacramento River in 1852, and that the letter that would have brought you there did exist, and was in his desk drawer, and was ash by the end of a September. I have not wanted to tell you to make you sad. I have wanted to tell you because it is true, and because we sit on a porch step in Cedar Bend at 62 and 60, and I did not want to sit here without you knowing the shape of what actually happened. That is all." Ida put her hand along his cheek. She said, "Bram, I am glad to know it. It does not make me sad. It makes me glad that the letter existed, and that the intention was true. My father's fire could not burn the intention. The intention was there. I have known intentions, and I have known what people did about them, and the intention behind that letter is a thing my father could not have burned. That has been what has held me since Ephraim died. It was there. It is here. Please stop weeping. Please help me up. I want to walk the orchard." He helped her up. They walked the orchard, and Ida Winch-Mead, who had gone out onto her porch on an October Tuesday because she had heard a wagon and had known the man on the driver's board before she knew him, put her hand into her husband's hand under the fading apples of Cedar Bend, and understood that the good, slow country had, in its good, slow way, given her back the man she had lost to a burned warehouse and a father's small, mean season, and had let her, in the end, nurse him back to life at 55 so that he could walk her under the apples of an October evening at 60, as the plain, honest husband she had loved before either of them had learned how. And so she had.